Well, Friday there were tens of thousands of people marching downtown and not one incident. It was peaceful. But yesterday morning was an emergency. We had to do a recall of all sworn personnel and call for mutual aid from all agencies around the metro and even call in the National Guard. It was a very volatile situation, but we were able to maintain the peace.
Where is National Guard deployed now?
They were deployed last night around the perimeter. We created a vehicle exclusionary zone to keep the peace and to prevent looting, to prevent fires, and to prevent civil unrest. That was successful, and as of now, we've reopened all of the city streets, and we're just looking to maintain the peace going forward.
And so are National Guard in position in places, or no?
They've been relieved now.
Okay.
All of the mutual aid agencies have left. It's just the Minneapolis police, but they are on standby if we need them for another mission in the city.
So in terms of investigation of the scene, of the crime scene itself, who had control of it? How was control handed over at some point? Because state law enforcement has said, who would normally be involved in this investigation, have said that they had a signed search warrant. They were not given access to the scene by federal law enforcement.
Yeah, that's very unusual. I had requested immediately the state investigative agency that investigates law enforcement shootings to respond, which they did. They were refused entry, and they even got a state search warrant for a public area to conduct their investigation, but they were not allowed in. And unfortunately, ultimately the scene became contaminated and we had to release it. As we speak now, the state BCA, that investigative agency, is on the scene right now, canvassing and looking to collect whatever evidence may be there.
But in terms of, they were not able to preserve the crime scene or preserve the scene to gather evidence at that time. So it's clearly not ideal for them.
No, not at all. They were refused entry. And the other thing that's bizarre is typically the FBI would be involved in these investigations, and they were not either.
And so the camera that Alex Pretti had that he was documenting, which obviously would be an important piece of evidence, that is now in the possession of whom?
I don't know. A federal law enforcement agency, I would assume, but I don't know.
And do you have concerns about what's going to happen in terms of any kind of investigation?
Well, I think the greater concern is no matter what happens with an investigation is that there's a huge part of the public that have lost faith that the investigation would be impartial, and I think that's a very significant problem.
I mean, we heard Christine Ohm come forward with a version of events that seems contradictory to what we have now seen on multiple videos.
Yes.
Was it? I mean, you've been in law enforcement for a long time. Have you ever seen a situation like that? I mean, this is an extreme case of I mean, I've never seen a federal law enforcement at odds with state and local like this.
This is uncharted territory, and it is deeply disappointing and frankly is frustrating. All of the different federal law enforcement agencies in Minnesota have worked with us hand in hand every single day, getting shooters off the street, carjackers, people running guns, all of those things for the last few years. That's what's resulted in making the city safer. And the problem today, we've seen, mass resignations in these different agencies and just a whole lot of frustration because we have personal relationships with a lot of these agents that are also just distraught over how things are playing out. It's not good for anyone.
Can you talk to me about the tactics you have seen ICE officers, Border Patrol, whatever the federal agencies are using? It just seems chaotic, to say the least, and mobbing on, six guys masked on one person. I've seen a lot of law enforcement operations. I've never seen anything like this, not even in some pretty rough countries overseas.
Well, I think you would see this if you rolled back the clock 20 or 30 years. Yeah. That's the way it looks to me. It looks very untrained. It looks unprofessional. It looks very chaotic. It doesn't look like there is clear teamwork tactically to achieve the same objective. And it is absolutely not how we train law enforcement in Minnesota. And I think the greater issue, the greater concern is, people should be able to have an expectation that the federal government can enforce federal immigration law without these, poor tactics and really unconstitutional practices.
We're hearing from the administration, from the federal government, essentially as well, it's local and state law enforcement and officials are not cooperating, and therefore that's why it's so chaotic.
We've got 600 cops in this city. More than 500 had left here after 2020. They have an actual job to do. We've taken 900 guns off the street last year from convicted felons and all kinds of people who shouldn't have them. We didn't shoot one single person. Our cops have a job to do. They're working extremely hard. I have a dozen cops that have been injured in the chaos that has been caused here in the last few weeks. So I take offense to anyone who says the men and women in the Minneapolis Police Department are not doing their job, because they're doing a damn good job at keeping this city safe in really unprecedented and chaotic conditions.
What, do you think that the officials who are saying that are just trying to pass the buck?
I don't think they have a clue about what is actually happening here on the street, because the things that get said just don't actually match up with the reality that people here are living with.
Is it possible that they do have a clue and this is what they actually want?
I don't know. I can't speculate to that.
Okay. What do you think? I mean, day to day, do you have? Are you in react? I mean, it seems like you must be in reactive mode because you're not having cooperation.
This is it's frustrating, and it is taking a very severe toll on the men and women who remain in this police department. They have lived through the trauma of 2020 and 2021, 2022, and now they've been subjected just multiple times to emergency recalls, days off being canceled, extended tours. They are exhausted. And we're just hopeful that, you know, some cooler heads will prevail here on all sides, and some folks in charge will get together and say, let's figure this thing out. We should be able to enforce federal law without having all of this chaos.
Are you concerned about a situation where there's actual conflict between federal law enforcement and your police department? I mean, in a situation where there's heavily armed federal officers here, training is questionable in some cases, and tensions are high.
This is certainly not a good thing, and it's just been for several weeks. It feels like we keep spiraling. It feels like the pressure keeps building. It doesn't seem like anyone in charge is looking to try and change this situation so that we stop having tragedies, so that we stop putting federal law enforcement in situations where they may be at risk, where the community is at risk.
It's interesting. I mean, I was out at the site today, and do you expect that site to remain a vigil for a long period of time, a gathering point? Because it seems like, I mean, I was out there very early in the morning. There were a handful of people, and it began to build.
Yeah.
It seems like throughout the day that may occur as well.
So we've got dedicated teams of police officers that are working with community-based organizations to be dialogue officers, to be out there to ensure that the roadways can remain open, that people can come there if they wish to, for vigil, to mourn, what have you, but to be able to do so in a way that honors the residents of the neighborhood, that honors the businesses of the neighborhood, and that we can try and keep everybody safe.
Yeah. Chief, I really appreciate your time. Sure. I appreciate all your efforts. Thank you very much.